Greetings from Indian Journal of Anesthesia. I'm Dr. Kiran Mahendru from Team IJA, and I'll be presenting a guest editorial published in the April issue. It is on the topic Do Not Resuscitate but Only Anesthetize. Intersection of anesthesia and do not resuscitate orders presents a complex ethical and medical dilemma for the healthcare professionals. DNR orders is a directive which is given by a patient or their proxy to forego resuscitative efforts such as CPR or advanced cardiac life support in the event of a cardiac or respiratory arrest. Anesthesia inherently carries the risk of reversible complications that may mimic scenarios requiring resuscitation. And the question is, if a patient with a DNR order requires anesthesia for some procedure, should DNR orders be automatically paused or modified during these procedures requiring anesthesia? Now, DNR was first described in 1970s at Mass General Hospital, Boston, after which it was soon adopted internationally. The DNR orders are based on many factors, like realistic outcome expectations of a well-informed patient, assume futility of life-saving measures in case of a cardiopulmonary arrest, an irreversible path towards death or poor quality of life due to the disease process, or it may be because of the patient's choice to die naturally. When patients or their decision makers opt for DNR, the understanding is that resuscitation is highly unlikely to result in a good outcome. It is a step forward in giving the patient the autonomy to choose the end goals of their healthcare instead of being at the mercy of the system. There need to be guidelines for managing these patients with numerous causes of perioperative complications. Now, if a DNR order strictly prohibits resuscitation, medical teams may be placed in an ethical bind, potentially compromising the safety of the procedure requiring anesthesia. And in many instances, this witnessed arrest during anesthesia can be reversed with prompt intervention, which results in a better outcome than the non operating room arrests, which can be because of the chronic disease of the patient. Now, the context of a witnessed intraoperative arrest is different from an arrest outside the operating room because the etiology and the response times will be different for these types of arrest. An intraoperative arrest has a high likelihood to be iatrogenic and should be viewed differently as it is more likely to be a reversible cause. Although there is no guarantee that a perioperative arrest will have a good outcome, it may be presumed that a patient who chooses to have a surgery will also want to survive beyond it. Now, many people have criticized this approach, claiming that it will diverge from the patient's true long term goals who is giving a DNR order. Patients are presumably not as concerned about what caused the arrest and its reversibility, as they are worried more about the after effects of the CPR, that is, rib fractures from chest compressions, prolonged ICU stay, and a painful ICU procedure as well as stay. So, not considering DNR under anesthesia will be equivalent to removal of the patient's autonomy, whereas denying a patient a palliative procedure or the one that will prolong the life and improve comfort of the patient on grounds of DNR status is also not ethical. So, an automatic suspension of DNR is often not clearly communicated to the patients who require anesthesia for certain procedures. Resuscitation itself can be understood by the patients and the caregivers in many ways. It may mean use of vasopressors, intubation, mechanical ventilation, central lines, chest compressions, and defibrillation. Patients may be agreeable to some interventions but not to others. And this can further complicate the situation as anesthesia cannot be provided with some of these. Therefore, the ASA recommends that pre-op discussion should be done with the patient or surrogate and reconsideration of the DNR status should be done, where there are three options for further management. The first option is giving full attempt at the resuscitation, that is to suspend the DNR orders perioperatively. The second option is limited attempt with regard to specific procedures, like chest compressions, use of vasopressors, intubation, etc. Third is limited attempt with regards to what are the patient goals and values. Also, no one size fit all policy can apply. We need to educate the patient and surrogate decision makers to help with shared decision making. Ideally, an individualized plan should be made about when to reinstate the original DNR order both intraoperatively and postoperatively. The example for such a scenario will be a palliative procedure like a surgery for colostomy to relieve large bowel obstruction due to a malignancy. The Association of Anesthetists of Great Britain and Ireland also recommend pre-op discussion with the patient or the surrogates. However, it suggests that it is usually appropriate to suspend the DNR orders perioperatively entirely. Another aspect to consider for perioperative DNR is the psychological effect on healthcare providers. When an anesthetist puts a patient under anesthesia, they assume the full responsibility of the patient's life for the duration of that anesthetic as well as postoperatively. There can be added guilt and long term effects if the reversible cause of cardiac arrest is iatrogenic and it is not dealt with. There may be tendency towards a more cautious anesthetic approach with lower doses and more conservative surgical plan, both leading to suboptimal outcomes for these patients. So, as per the Indian scenario, in 2018, the Indian Supreme Court ruled that the ability to refuse life sustaining treatment is fundamental right to liberty and dignity of a patient. The concept of DNR is not widely understood by the Indian public and not even by the healthcare providers, though there are 2020 ICMR consensus guidelines on use of DNR. But the implementation varies across hospitals in India. Therefore, we need nationwide guidelines for India for perioperative DNR patients. It will give the healthcare providers a more clarity on decision making, and the Indian legal system also needs to be aware of complexities and gray areas of these decisions. In the end, it is the patient autonomy that should always be respected. Now, despite ambiguity, the authors suggest that best approach in Indian scenario will be to suspend the DNR orders during the perioperative period, and the duration of this perioperative period can be discussed with the patient and the surrogate decision makers. It will ensure that the patient death does not occur prematurely due to an avoidable complication rather than because of the natural progression of their illness. Except for emergency cases, if a healthcare provider feels conflicted in any way to provide anesthesia to a patient with DNR in place, they should have an option to withdraw from the care of that patient. Thank you.